No, they only give that award away to somebody after they die, or even worse, after your career's dead. Really? Well, consider yourself lucky. They told you your career was over. I didn't find out until I was locked out of my office because, see, I passed on 100. It was the most crazy bull that exists.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your host Mark and myself Paul. Joining us tonight we have Terence Tier161 from the Forge page of the podcast at www.celticrumours.co.uk. You can also check out all the links to the podcast in the description below. On tonight's show we will look back on Celtic's 4-0 annihilation of the Rangers at Celtic Park. A look ahead to Tuesday's Champions League group game against Champions League giants Real Madrid at Celtic Park. And of course, if there's anything you guys want to discuss in the live chat, please let us know. Firstly, Mark will do the few shout-outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. Quick shout-outs for the lads in the forum. Tim Alloy, a Glasgow Green, Rich and his family. I think that's off the forum coming into my head. Who have we got in the chat? Jabber of Jobbies, Jabber, evening Jabber, OG, I'll put a link into your channel in the box. I meant to do it the other night, Paul, because he's brought in as a lot of new guys, you know what I mean? So give him back a wee bit. If people can go and subscribe to OG's channel, I'll put it in the box in 2 minutes. Thanks again for all your support, OG, and all the rest of yous. Brian, evening Brian, Campsy's here, Avenue, and with Terence is coming on, I'll get him on in 2 minutes, and that's us. We've smashed the 600 subscriber mark this week, Paul. So that was a good wee jump. Do you know what was that? 4 or 5 new subs. So it's onwards and upwards. Everything's looking good. The links to the forum and everything, our Discord that's on the description box below, and our link tree. Every Celtic fan's more than welcome to come out there as well. That's about it, Paul. Let's get the celebrations going. I'll go get Terence on.
The stage was set for yesterday's afternoon before kick-off with Celtic fans once again shown that Celtic mean war, the Celtic support getting behind the Celtic team from the first minute to the 90th minute. Celtic 4, the Rangers 0. Not just looking at the scoreline, this was a pumping for Rangers. They simply couldn't handle the electric performance, the high tempo, the speed, the high press, the speed of our passing, annihilation. Ex-Rangers players said, the media and ex-Rangers players said that Gio had a plan. He had a plan A, B, C, D. The simple fact is, yes, whatever plan Gio had, it was not stopping Celtic yesterday. Goals from Abada to Yota, Tommel, starts for the game were Celtic was with Rangers. Celtic shots 15, Rangers 11 on target, 6-2 possession, 45-55 to Rangers. Passes 416 to Celtic, 4501 to accuracy, 83 to their 85%. Fouls 12. There's a 3 cards each. Mark, I start with yourself first. As I said there in the introduction, there it just wasn't the scoreline. It was a pumping yesterday. We just tore this team apart yesterday.
Did blew them away, Paul, for the first minute. We said if Celtic turned up, we'll win, and we knew we were going to come out the traps flying, Paul. And let's be honest, I mean, really, they didn't lay a finger on us. You know what I mean in football.
It's like what I said Tuesday, Thursday night, Mark. If we turn up the way we're playing since the start of the season, we're going to tear them apart.
That was it. We knew we were going to come bowling out the starting blocks at 100 mile an hour, and we just blew them completely away. They didn't get near us all day. And that's got to hurt them. Their heads will be well done after that, because as you say, Paul, it wasn't just they lost a game and they put up a good performance. They showed absolutely nothing for Celtic fans to worry about. Nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Terence?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Terence, thanks for coming on, bud. Good man.
Good evening, gents. How are we keeping?
Good.
Well, good.
Yes, the Terence.
Oh, it was fantastic, Paul. It was absolutely. It was unbelievable to watch him. Like you said, they destroyed Rangers, and I'll be honest, I didn't think it would be that comfortable before the game, but it was just like Rangers were probably lucky it finished 4-0. It could have been a lot worse. Like it really could have been a lot worse.
Took our foot off the gas kind of in the second half, Terence, didn't we?
They did. Well, they did a bit. Like, and to be honest, the transformation of the team in the 12, 24 months it's just been staggering. I mean, the players, you look at the likes of O'Reilly and Jota, Abada. I mean, it's the team is scary, and not only that, it's a strength and depth that they now have. The players that they brought on, they didn't weaken the side. I mean, it's unbelievable. And like Rangers didn't lay a glove on them. They just didn't lay a glove on them. It was unbelievable to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like Mark, what Terence is saying there, like we spoke about the importance of the midfield, and what I noticed yesterday about the midfield that I haven't kind of seen before is that Rio Hayase seemed to be the pivot yesterday, not Callum McGregor.
I thought they were more interchanging it, Paul.
Yeah,
I thought they were kind of swapping about more as the game. Do you feel like he usually swaps wingers? I thought he was kind of doing that during the game.
Yeah, like he seemed to be putting the passes through. Do you know? And I just thought, like, that's why.
Evening, Steph. Evening, Welshie. Thanks for coming in, lads.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we beat their defence yesterday, because it wasn't one or two of them. Do you know what I mean? It was either one that was there, and we basically bypassed their midfield by the speed of a pass and down the wings. I mean, like, of all the goals we scored against Rangers, the Yota goal yesterday, Mark, will live long in my memory.
Aye, that really was. That's like a wee FIFA trick, Paul, doing that wee chip over the keeper.
That pass there by O'Reilly, he's run from the left into the centre, and the chip over McLaughlin, and not just that, like his celebration, the Jinky celebration. You know, the man gets Celtic, Mark, don't he? He really does.
Just the goal was it was a fantastic goal, and then. But see this one as well. It was a touch he broke. It was I can't even tell it was that hit my long ball, Paul. in the foot.
Oh yeah, the touch.
Big long aye, and he kind of just tried a shimmy and it didn't really come off from him. But that touch, man, that was sublime, Paul. The way you just brought that under control. What a player he is. He's just going to get better and better. Young Abada as well. I thought he'd a cracking game as well. I said to you last night, me O'Reilly's my new kind of man crush. Do you know what I mean? I think he's just one of the best midfield players, Paul, I've seen for Celtic, really. I'll be honest, for Petrov, that's who he kind of reminds me a bit, Paul. The way he plays the game.
Abada, Terence, seems to be the man Ange kind of goes to for the big games, these kind of derby games, and Abada steps up in these games. Like, how many times have we seen him run off the back of Berisic and score against him?
Terence here. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Terence, I don't know what I've done there. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all right, mate. Don't worry about it. You'll be better off doing it something more often to me, I'd say.
I was just saying, Terence, that Ange seems to go to Abada for the big games, and he's played this run off Berisic so many times, and the Berisic still can't get near him.
No, and he nearly like, if you were ever to show a young lad who's a winger the way to play, every time the ball comes in from the left, he's basically nearly becoming like another centre forward. Yeah. He's putting himself in the position, and yeah, there might be times he mightn't get it, but my God, I looked at his stats there just before we came on, and I think he's something like 20 or 21 goals and 11 or 12 assists between last year and this year. I mean, that's unbelievable stats for a guy of just 20 years of age. I mean, and like, he must be, I'd say, man, Barisic must be waking up in the middle of the night with his face looking at him. He must be sick of the sight of him. Like, he really must be the sickest side of him.
Ange said after the game that like, he said when he came to club, he was 19. He knew he was a raw talent, but he was a special talent. And he said that he's just getting better and better each time Ange is spending time with him. And that says a lot about a young lad now, Terence, don't it?
Oh, it does, Paul. But I mean, you can see him. He's puts the fear of God in Rangers, like, especially in their full backs. Like he mightn't have the skill of a Jota, but my God, what he brings the rest of his game is phenomenal. Like, his work is very hard.
He's a bit more direct than Jota, isn't he? Abada will be going for, whereas Jota tries to beat his man, whereas Abada's more like he's going for goal right away as soon as he gets the ball, kind of thing. There's a difference. It's like Jota kind of sticks out in the wing, and Abada actually comes in narrower to kind of come in as a kind of second striker, even sometimes, I think.
He does. That's exactly what he does, Mark. He comes in and he offers himself as a second striker, and like, as I said, he's occupying someone else then when he comes in there, because if the ball breaks, like the third goal is a prime example, that's where you expect the centre forward to be. The ball broke, and not only that, but it falls and he just bangs it in. No touch, no nothing. It's clinical and it's brilliant to watch. Like,
hi Rod, thanks for joining us again, mate. Nice to see you. JFP, I don't know if I gave you a shout out. Thanks for coming in, JFP.
And even to talk about the derby, Mark, and Joe Hart, not that I can remember, had a save to make. You know, really didn't. Like, there was no pressure really on all defense yesterday.
Apart from Callum McGregor.
Mm.
I mean, that was probably the most difficult save Hart had to make all game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is it Kolak, you pronounce it? I know he scored a good few goals for them, kind of thing, Paul, but I wasn't impressed with him. I don't know whether it was because he wasn't getting any service or that, but I wasn't impressed with him at all yesterday. I don't know whether he gets stage fright, but just none of them, Paul, even looked.
We did what we did. If we stop Barisic and Tavernier, if we stop them, that's their ammunition to the front line. There's nothing else, because Lundstrom and Davis aren't going to get forward. You get me?
No.
You know, to provide the balls from, and we stopped their two main threats by Abada and Taylor pushing up on the Abada and Taylor and Jota and Jovanovic and team like Kent again for them. was shocking yesterday, Mark, and down to us not letting them get on the ball.
No, that was it, but they just couldn't get near us. There was just. To be honest, Paul, it's hard to actually explain. It was as if, for me, Celtic played that game, Paul, as if we were playing a St Mirren or a.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? Like Kilmarnock or somebody like that. We just went out there. We know what we can do. We done it last week against Dundee United. We said just come out and play the exact same way, and we'll win that game yesterday. And that's what we've done. We didn't give them any respect. We didn't show them that we would any fear for them or nothing. We just went out there. Basically, Paul, we didn't really care what they done. We controlled everything. And that was one of the big worries that some of the last few derbies and that, Paul. We've spoken about it 100 times. We JFP's here. Bawz agreed we were getting out muscled a bit. They didn't even have a chance to get out muscle us yesterday. I mean, and some of that don't get. I mean, that Goldson tackle. I thought that should have been. I know it's the rules,
we talk about that.
But that was all that they had kind of hang when they did get anywhere near us.
Like I remember at the end of the season when it was trophy day and Ange gave his speech, he said, "Enjoy this." He said, "Next year we're going to come back bigger. We're going to come back better. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get better year on." And he's kept to his word, Terence, like, you know, because Celtic have got better since last season.
Oh, without a doubt, Paul. And not only have they got better, they've got stronger as a unit. I mean, the quality that they've brought in is, you know, you can now take off certain individuals and you can bring on your Moyes and Turnbulls and, you know, Maedas, and, you know, it's just the strength in depth. It's like it's been said numerous times. There's nearly 2 players for every position, and there's bar the odd exceptional one here or there. There isn't a huge difference between an awful lot of them. Like, I mean, losing most teams, they lost their main striker after 30 seconds, it'd be a crisis. But yet, Giakoumakis comes on and he had a cracking game. Now, he should have scored, but he had a cracking game other than that, like, you know?
I mean, he didn't let that defence rest once yesterday. He was at them every single time they had the ball.
Well, and they were probably glad to see maybe. They'd have probably preferred to see Kyogo playing than Giakoumakis. I'd say he's an absolute nightmare to play, especially the likes of Goldson. Goldson would much rather have a fella like a Kyogo running because, like,
he can bully him physically if he can get near him, kind of thing.
And he would
getting pushed off the ball anywhere. Even at best, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, whereas like Goldson has kind of, he's up there with the pace of a pregnant duck. Like, he's chronic slow, like. Do you know what I mean? And then he has no strength. And Giakoumakis is going to pull him and drag him in. You could see his. I know you're going to talk about it later on. You could see the frustration in one or two of the incidents that he done. How he stayed on the pitch is another issue. But however, like Giakoumakis just bullied them, and they weren't for the world of them able for it. Like, and they have obviously a man Sands as well there as well. Do you know what I mean? He's a midfielder going centre back. He can't handle it either. You know, it was brilliant to watch.
Evening, Sean. Thanks for coming in, mate.
I just want to go back to something there. JFP said there. Ed Ange just believes in his philosophy. He doesn't care who he's playing against, and most of all the Huns. And JFP's right, Mark. He said it. He said he's his own man. He's going to play the way he wants to play, the way his father taught him how to play football, and it's something, Mark, that was new to us last season, and when we kind of saw it in full effect, I wouldn't say full effect, maybe 85%, Mark, since last January. But now we're seeing this second season syndrome, and second season best under Ange, Mark, that the players, the more and more the players are with him, the more and more they get used to him.
But that's what the media. That's what the media were hanging on to last season, Paul. They thought the Rangers were going to win the league because it was, this guy Angie never does anything in his first season. You'll not see him doing anything decent or anything good to his second season. And Ange said himself that the second season's when it kind of kicks in, and it's really frightening, Paul, when you think about it. I mean, we're 6 games gone, we're 5 points clear. What's our goal difference? Plus 27.
Mm-hmm.
After 6 games.
After 6 games, Mark.
Do you know, I mean, that's frightening statistics, Paul, for for any team in any league to put up that in the first 6 games, Paul. It really
conceding
is.
conceding one,
Aye.
you know, and not just the attacking side of it, Mark. And like Starfelt is a big player. Like he went off yesterday, but you feel comfortable now as well. Like if Starfelt goes off injured, or think that Mortes Jens is coming on. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. I thought he had a great game
And I
as well.
thought he
Paul,
had a
when he
great
came on.
game yesterday.
Aye.
I thought he was great, Mark, and I really, really did. You know, really, really impressed with him when he came on. Of course, look, it was Derby day. There's going to be no Derby if you're not going to have issues with the referee. And for me, the performance yesterday was, again, it was shocking. Lumstern, Goodison, Arfie, in my opinion, should have been booked, because the rules of the game are, if it's a goal kick, the players have to be outside the
area
box, yeah. And Arfie clearly blocked the pass, Denmark going out, and there was no booking. Like, it's just blatant. Is it stupidity, Mark? Is it arrogance that they're not going to book these Rangers players? Like, but that's a basic rule there. Like, that an offence.
Well, you'd think that would be something that the ref should know, basically, isn't it? If that's the rules of the game.
The rules of the game, yes, the rules of the game. So, like, that's why I was actually looking at that, and I was shocked that there was no yellow card for it. Like, it's a straight yellow card offence.
Aye, I don't know. Can that be? I don't even. It doesn't really matter. But can that get took up with the compliance officer? No,
not unless the referee.
It's a bit petty, but it's still the rules of the game, Paul. The
It
ref
is,
should know them. Aye,
like, you know what I mean, like this. It was a blatant block by Arfield to do it. Do you know what I mean? And the rules, he just didn't get it. Longstrong, for me, if you look back at the Kyogo tackle, he came in with his elbow. If you look that back, and I think he was very lucky to stay in that pitch yesterday, and he should have been sent off. I can see why Goosen wasn't sent off. I know there was intent to take down Mieda, but there was 2 defenders in front of him, and I think that's what saved him, Mark.
But Paul, what if I broke his leg, done his ligaments and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was intentional, and I know that, but I can see why the referee didn't say, maybe, Mark, because Nick Walsh was behind the ball, he didn't see the extent of the tackle. Do you get me?
Well,
I have to disagree though, Paul.
Yesterday's game, stop talking about them. We're talking about yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to disagree with you there, though, Paul. On the two incidents, I would have thought Golson's was the Maeda one was a straight red. He just kicked him. It was just a blatant kick.
I'm saying, like, would the 2 players in front of him would have saved him, though?
But I'm not talking. But I'm not talking about last man back, though, Paul. I'm just talking about a violent conduct.
A violent tackle. Aye.
Yeah.
If
you just turned around and if one of the players just turned around and kicked another player in the middle of the field, that's what he done. Like, he had no intention of going to the ball. He was just basically having a kick at him, and that was it. He was gonna. I'm not talking about last man back or any of that kind of stuff. It was violent. It was violent conduct. Like, he made no attempt to play the ball. He just was going to kick him. The Lundstrom one in the first half, I don't know. It surprised me that Kyogo went off so quickly. I didn't see a huge amount in it. Now, I just thought Lundstrom went in to tackle. I didn't see anything dirty. But the Golson one for me was a straight red. It wasn't even. I couldn't believe that the referee thought it was a yellow card. Like,
see if they were standing face to face terms and Golson kicked him, he'd get sent off.
That's a red card. Yeah, exactly. There was no difference.
It doesn't matter who's near him or nothing. He just went for the man. There was no way in the world he was getting anywhere near the ball, and he knew that. So he's just went in there and see all this push about taking one for the team. I heard McCoy getting on as well during the commentary about, I see that wee tug there, that just gives him that wee advantage. If Kolak's tugging a guy in the box, it's a foul. Do you get what I mean? McCoy said, wee bit, just that wee tug, that just gives him the advantage. And then that tackle. I mean, as you said, Terence, it should be nothing to do with the last man or nothing. That, for me, that's just pure violent conduct.
Well, that's what I put it down to, Mark.
It could have broke his leg, it could have ripped ligaments, it could have done any damage, kind of thing, and it just kind of get. Do you know?
Well, not just to me, the thing, Mark. Look at the elbow on Yotta. You see that elbow coming up on Yotta by Goulson. I mean,
Aye.
that should have been a booking as well.
Oh, they're both red cards, Paul.
Yeah,
Either of the two of them are red cards.
But
There's
you
no
see,
booking. There's no booking for either of the two of them. Both of those are straight reds.
You see these things, Terence, down in the south. They're red card offence, and that's why I just can't believe that it's been let up in Scotland, and it's not just against Celtic, Mark. These tackles are going on against every team, and there's nothing happening. You know, and what Celtic should do, Mark, and what you've said over the years, is that Celtic should complain the referee's performance yesterday against Celtic when we're winning.
Aye. I've said that all along. There's no point in coming on, even us coming on here and moaning about the ref and like excuses when if we get beat or things like that, Paul. You've got to call it out when it's happening, even in games that you're winning. Otherwise, you can't really take it serious. It just sounds like sour grapes.
Especially, Mark, and I know it's not a serious thing, but especially the Ardfield one, because that's the basic rule. Do you know what I mean? Why wasn't Ardfield booked yesterday? You know, like if he's not capable of doing the fucking job, like he shouldn't be reffing.
But Paul, if you saw either of those three incidents this morning in a junior soccer match,
he'd be sent off.
The two players would have been sent off for the elbow and the kick, and
Ardfield would have been booked.
Terence, that's not me that's kicked you off, bud. You're still on according to us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
aye, that's you back here, aye.
Yeah. No, Goldson just kicked the guy. Simple as that. And he obviously elbowed Jota as well. But the kick in Maeda was so clear it was beyond the jaw. And you could see that he was going to do it. You could see as Maeda was going past him, you could see him going, I'm just taking him out. Mm-hmm. I remember your man Healy doing it a couple of years ago over in Celtic as well, Celtic against Rangers, the Northern Ireland fella. He done the exact same thing going down the sideline to Chris Commons or something like that, and it's a straight red. Like, it's just a straight red. If that's Sunday League football,
Is the rules not changed, Terence? Is that not the reason that red card the other week get rescinded?
Well,
that's still my point. I still think that was a red card last week. The other week they get rescinded for that. Was that not that Lundstrom again?
Yeah. I'll be honest, Mark. I didn't think it was a red card. No, I genuinely didn't think. I
don't see much difference in the two tackles, Terence.
I do. I think one was, you could argue the point that Lundstrom was a bit more of a tackle.
Yeah,
a bit more of a tackle.
Down, but Goulson studs were up. Goulson studs were on the calf, weren't they, Terence?
Well, Goulson just gave a kick. There's a difference. Your man Lundstrom, in my defence, okay, he might be going for the ball, and if he doesn't get it, he's going to take the man. But Goulson hasn't no hope of getting. He's 5 yards away from the ball, and he's literally going, I need to get as close to him as I can to give him an unmerciful boot, and that's what he's done. Mm-hmm. You know, and I for the life of me, I just couldn't. If I saw it in a Sunday League this morning, the referee gave a red card for it. But yet over there, it seems to be it's a yellow. Like, you would have to literally kill someone in Scotland to get sent off in some of these games. Mm-hmm. Do you know, especially in the derby matches, you'd have to kill someone literally.
We'll probably still only get a book in there.
Aye.
But if that was Scott Brown, he'd have probably been sent off.
He'd be gone. If Scott Brown did that tackle yesterday, he'd be gone.
And there'd be war. There'd be holy war over him doing it. But some guys are above the law, it seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really strange one for him. See, really, there was that Goldson one, the elbow, and the Kyogo one, Paul. I'm with Terence. I didn't really see what actually happened.
No, if you look back, Mark, if you look back to it slowly, you see his elbow actually going in under. No, probably wasn't intentional, but his elbow did go into Kyogo's, and that's why Kyogo went down.
Would the ref, see when VAR comes in, would the ref go and look at that, do you think?
I think so, Mark. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's a few tackles there, not just one we highlighted. I mean, there's.
Oh, but I mean, there's no point of going out to look at VAR for that one on Maeda. I mean, that would, if you needed VAR to see that would be.
Yeah, Mark, the problem is there, right? That if those tackles, right, are being let go by the referee, we need the referee and VAR to go, hey, Nick, I need you to come over and have a look at this again in the monitor. Like,
Paul, if Stevie Wonder was doing VAR yesterday, he'd have seen that was a red card. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You didn't need anyone to look at that. That's just the most stonewall red card I've seen in years, and it's basically not given. I couldn't believe it. I was watching it at home when when I saw that. I said, "How?" My wife had to tell me to calm down after, but I was like, "How is that not a red card?" Like, I just defies belief. He just basically kicked the guy. Whatever sport you're playing, whatever game you're playing, you'd be sent off for that. End of story. And he wasn't.
Even if you get questioned on it, and see what you're saying, Paul, about the rules, he wasn't the last man in that. Other referees to say, I know he wasn't the last man, but it was violent conduct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, shut down any argument whatsoever. The referees just saw that as violent conduct. No intention whatsoever doing anything with actual football anywhere near him. It just went right out there and just boot at a guy for.
No,
if you done that in the street, you'd get arrested.
But that was the thing I couldn't understand, Mark, yesterday. They were actually on the telly, they were going, "Oh, he's not the last man back, there's two defenders, maybe he's giving it the benefit of the doubt." I was going, lads, have any of you, actually, I was like, I'm not talking about the last man back, I'm just talking about the karate kick. Because it wasn't a tackle, it was a karate kick. Do you know, and I couldn't believe that the commentators, and whether it be Andy Walker or Ali McCoy, or any of these boys, were all kind of going, "Yeah, look, there was I know, yeah, but there was guys behind. As I said, I just thought if it's any game, if that's soccer, hurling, rugby, whatever it is, anyone kicked out like that, it's a straight red card. And I just the fact that the referee can think that that's not a red card, that's a serious problem.
Mm-hmm. I just want to touch on their team for 2 seconds and go on
before Welshie comes in and slaps you.
The biggest mistake Gio made yesterday, and I said it on Thursday, Mark, and I said it here on Thursday, that the biggest mistake he'll do is playing McLaughlin instead of McGregor, and I think that proved right yesterday. I think McGregor would have got some of those goals yesterday. You know, because
is that really poor? Is that, Paul? I've said to everybody I've spoke to all week, who's on the Discord included, I can't believe that he's 35.
Oh yeah.
I just thought it was. I don't mean young as in like 19, 20. I thought it was maybe like 20, a goalkeeper young as in like 24, 25.
Oh, so that's why they went for Seagrass, because two their keepers, and they looked at the keeper as well, but it never materialised.
Well, I think Seagrass, if McGregor had went, I think they'd have pushed harder to get Seagrass to. Maybe they gave McGregor a contract because they weren't getting Seagrass, but I always thought that McLaughlin was getting kind of primed or whatever it is, that to take care for McGregor. I didn't realise he was only 5 years younger than McGregor, and he's ganting. He really is really, really poor. Who was it we used to go on away about Celtic, and it was as if he had weak wrists, mind? What keeper was that, Paul, we used to talk about? It was as if he'd weak wrist. Sometimes he'd try to stop the ball, just as if his hand wasn't even there. And that McLaughlin was like that yesterday, and then getting nutmegged and everything. It's just he'll be having nightmares about last night's game. I'll be really who are they playing during the week in the Champions League?
Ajax.
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if
McGregor now to drop him, Mark, and play McGregor in that game. It's a big call by Givan. But like looking, like we've heard all season, Mark, that they have a strong squad. They've big players. They've things. But yesterday, a few Rangers fan media has actually admitted to it. Like we don't have a strong team. We've an aging team, and for the board to tell us we have a strong team, like one, Mark, there's no money there to buy the players, and they're in decline. You know.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. I mean, even McGregor's 40, that McLaughlin's 35, that Davis. I mean, that Davis must be about the same age as me.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's not that old now. Come on.
But he looks older than me.
He's 38.
Well, there you go. I've been told that I look about 24.
Yeah, but how many cans did that person have? Like
that was Big Jabber at the Blackburn game. But their team is in it, right? We know for Kent, Morelos, there's a blog I read, I don't know if he's read it, Paddy on the Railway or something. It's an older guy, Pat Anderson. He's a funny blogger and that. And he came up with it that a few years back. He says the Rangers teams you go to a car boot sale or that, and he says in this old box and it's just full of old action man heads. He says, and that's what the Rangers team is. He says it's just somebody that's just picked all these old players and just stuck them all together and thinking it's going to work. And the older they're getting...
Yes, 2 seconds there. We actually forgot about this. Why wasn't the foul in the box by Kent and Abada not given as a penalty? Because he actually did kind of put his waist on top of Abada to go down. And we actually missed that. That was
thanks for coming in again, Dr. Strangelove.
If that went to VAR terms, that you've seen given like down south, like, you know.
I think they deemed it, and I think he deems it that Abada's actually going to strike the ball, and he actually catches Kent's leg on the way.
Catches Kent's leg, yeah.
I don't think Kent's leg is he's made the tackle. I think it's like Abada goes to strike the ball, and Kent's obviously coming in, and he catches Kent's leg, and that's what it appears to me that the referees obviously looked at. That it wasn't a tackle, that it's in Abada's attempt to strike the ball, he's actually struck Kent's leg, and that's caused him to fall over. That's what it would appear from if you look at it again, and that's obviously I assume the way the referee has interpreted it. No, I agree with you, Paul. You could see penalties given, no question about it. But,
yeah, soft penalties given worse than that, Terence, you know.
Oh yeah, a lot softer than that. But you find unless they're nearly stonewall ones for Celtic, they're not generally given in those derby matches, you know.
Do you know, Mark, what's surprising me, and not surprising me, but I just can't believe we're not talking about our defence or Joe Hart in a derby game. You know, just can't believe it.
Did nothing to do, Paul.
No,
the defence spent most of the game sitting in the halfway line.
Halfway line, Mark, to get the ball. Halfway line to get the ball. They were sitting in the halfway line to get the ball. You know, there was actually no pressure that I could see through that game, Mark. That
they did some half chances, Paul, but every team during a game is going to get half chances. Do you know what I mean?
That's what they did with those half chances, Mark. Do you get me? They did nothing really to trouble us.
Aye. I mean, even as I said, it was like playing St Mirren or something like that. St Mirren come to Celtic Park, they'll get a couple of wee odd half chances that if their centre forward was 2 inches higher, he'd get to a header. And do you get what I mean? That's just what it was. And that's what they offered yesterday.
That's why I'm saying, like I said in the introduction, Mark, that's why it was a pumping yesterday. Like, I mean, there was no real threat on our box. Like, I know you said they got half chances, but they weren't really decent chances. Do you get me?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just it was crosses into the box, but they came to nothing. Every team's going to get things like that. But after the second goal went in, that was it. It was good night Vienna. There was only going to be a case of how many. That's with after that second goal went in. I think that just took the wind right out of their sails.
Do you know what? It was the commentary by, is it Ian Crocker? Was it Ian Crocker?
Yeah.
It was just the commentary by him. The way he said Yotta's name when he struck the ball, he knew the ball was going in. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And it was the way he said all day yesterday. And I mean this, like, I started playing Yotta's goal all day yesterday, and I just kept looking to the celebration, to the goal, to O'Reilly's pass. You know, if you want the perfect goal scored and live in your memory, that goal was it. Like, it just had everything from the pass from O'Reilly to his run off the left. Like, none of them seen him come. None of them saw Yotta coming. He kept on the line. He watched the line. He saw for O'Reilly then to see the run from him. Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't even just to the goals, but Paul, see, all during the game, we were picking these passes out. We probably a lot of us weren't. I wasn't expecting the player to do it. Do you know what I mean? You were just, where is it pulling this for? It's just a totally different level. It really is, Paul. It's a totally different level of football if anyone we've seen in Scotland, I think. Just the way we played it. Do you get what I mean? I'm not meaning that, but I know I can't even mind jokes, teams and things like that, but I'm talking about in the modern era, the way Angie's get the team playing, Is it something that we were used to seeing on the continent, and we'd kind of, oh, it'd be great if Celtic, do you get what I mean? It'd be great if Celtic played like that. And now we actually are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's basically how we've sort of, even our recent years, we can go on a bit like Klopp with Liverpool, even Klopp's Dortmund teams are in Italy. But for me, the new Celtic, for me, myself, I'm totally loving watching playing the football that Celtic's playing now. Just even just for the actual football aspect to it, Paul.
Oh, Mark, it's a joy. It really is. It's just since he came in, is what Terence said there. Like you're going back nearly 18 months to where we were. We had no squad this time last year. Terence, I think we lost our first 3 games or something like that.
Yeah,
to where we are
first
now.
3 away games. Yeah, the first 3 away games they lost.
A goal difference of 27, conceding 1. Do you know what I mean? Like the best.
Paul, if Postecoglou had gone in and to Man United and done this to Man United,
of course, yeah,
he'd be going. This is one of the greatest coaches ever. The transformation that he has done to Celtic it's staggering. It's absolutely staggering. They've gone from a team where when they were going just after going for the 10, where they were like all over the place, to basically now, like it's like Mark said, the football. It's literally one 2-touch football. The only guy you could say that runs with the ball a bit is Jota. The rest of it is just one touch move to 1 or 2. It's unbelievable to watch.
That's what I saw from
middle to front is frightening. Like
what I noticed from Hayati yesterday, Mark, is that's basically what he did yesterday. When he got the ball, he didn't dwell in it. He moved it straight away.
Aye.
He moved it, and that's the thing that I think we were missing all along, was moving the ball fast from the midfield to the attackers to open up that space. Everything yesterday, from the ball boys to the throw-ins to our free kicks, everything from that was just all go. Like it lived what Anne was saying we do, is we don't stop, and we didn't stop yesterday. You know, fucking McGeady was probably still running in at half time inside the dressing room. He wasn't even playing. His legs were probably going 90, probably just to get on. You look at the bench yesterday, Mark. Like that bench yesterday was white material. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, it was like, you know.
Aye, but it is. We spoke about it. I mean, the actual depth and strength in the squad.
You know, you look at that bench and you're going, Jesus, like that team that played Ross County the other day, Mark, would have beaten that Rangers team yesterday. You know.
Oh, aye, probably, Paul. I think that day, aye. We spoke about that the other night, how that so-called second string would probably beat most of the teams in Scotland. Maybe playing them would have been the doubt, but that yesterday, I think that team, the team that played Ross County in midweek, would have won it, at least beat them by 2 goals. I really do.
I agree with something there that just 2 seconds, Mark, that the jabber was saying, we shouldn't fear anyone. We shouldn't fear, as Anne said, Plan A is working pretty well. So we won't change, but it is working well, and that's the thing about it, Mark, is that he has a squad. I think what we saw last season with the Andrew system, Terence, was that the players started getting tired, and that's why it slowed down. But now, as we just spoke about the bench, the players come on, the tempo stays the same.
Oh, 100%, Paul, and it's exactly that. I mean, that's why you had the likes of maybe Turnbull getting injured last year. There was a lot of hamstring injuries last year because guys were basically being asked to keep going back to the well. But like you look at yesterday, they bring on Moy, Turnbull, and Maeda. Like Moy looks like the real deal. Like, I mean, there was a 50-50 ball in the middle of the field at one stage there, and he just went through you, man. And he won't have. It'd been a ping and a pass out to the right, out to, I think it's Jota or Juranovic, whoever it was. But like it's those little things that we didn't have. We would be taken off if it was a Turnbull had to come off. You're taking him off and you're going, God, who are we bringing on? No disrespect meant, but it might have been looking at a Luke Shaw or someone like that. Just the strength and depth just wasn't there. Whereas now it's nearly on a par bar, as I said, 1 or 2 players that it's a like for like. You know, I mean, if you look at it realistically, yesterday they started with the first game with Vickers and Welch. And then Starfield's come back and he's got injured, and now Jens has come in. So like you're looking at 3 or 4 centre backs that can come in. If that was 12 months ago and one of our centre backs got injured, you were getting chest pains because you're going, who's going to go in there? Who we have to go to fill in that spot? Whereas now there's there's the guy's gone out, and your man steps in, and there's no change, and it's brilliant to watch. It's just brilliant, like.
I was reading there today that Ange, Dermot Desmond, and Nixon are going to sit down maybe in October, November to discuss January's budget, Mark, for the first team, how they can strengthen more. They're also going to look at the chairman, and they're going to look at updating the facilities at Lennoxton. You mean, so there seems to be improvement in all aspects that Ange, since Ange came in. Like we spoke the other day about the new strength and conditioning centre that with all the weights and stuff like that. So there's big changes in the club who we believe, Max, should have been happening years ago, but they're happening now. Mark?
Oh, sorry, Paul. Something came up there. I'm just wondering what that was. Somebody says it's a bot or something. It confused me. Some lassie talking about a gun or something, Paul. A bit weird that. Somebody says it's a bot. You get them on podcasts and that. Sorry, what were you saying, Paul? About
I'm just saying that the funds they're going to sit down in October, November, discuss the funds for Ange. They're also going to talk about the person's going to come in for the new chairman. They're also going to update Lennoxton Training Centre to suit Ange a bit more. You know, they seem to be, since Ange came in, Mark, they're updating everything.
Aye, I mean, we saw that video the other day with that performance power gym thing and that they were doing. And again, it's something that's really been needing done. We've spoke about that plenty of times as well, that Lennoxtown could do a bit of upgrading. So again, Paul, it's just making us what we should have been acting like for years, Paul. This is us being a bigger club, being the biggest club in Scotland and dominating it and putting down the markers and building the foundations of stuff that's going to keep Celtic at the top for a long, long time. I mean, there'll be blips. I'm not saying we're going to win the league every single year. There'll be blips where you don't win the league and stuff like that. But on average, for now, honestly, I said it, Paul, that when they went bust, we should have been doing it. And now we've started today. Just concentrate on what we're doing. Never bother what's going on with the rest of Scottish football. Concentrate on making Celtic to be the best that Celtic can be, and it's up to everybody else to try and catch us. Fuck them. That's my attitude.
Is it no coincidence? Is it no coincidence, though? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Is it no coincidence that the guy who wanted to be, basically, for all intents and purposes, the whole figurehead who wanted to be involved in next about everything, is gone, and you've now got a CEO who basically does a CEO job, supports the manager, stays in the background, doesn't want to be the public eye all the time, and allows the manager and the football inside to do what they're meant to do, and he does what he was meant to do.
Proper arguments, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the CEO runs the company, the manager runs the football side, and they come together on the football insides, and he goes, "What do you need? If we can provide it, we'll do it." And that seems to be the template that they have with obviously this Michael Nichols and the powers to be, because as you said, the strength and conditioning and all that. For one person that clearly has stood out for me on that is Matt O'Reilly. He looks like he's after putting on some serious size from last year. Like he's like there's 50-50 balls and 50-50 challenges in the middle of the field, and he's winning more than he's losing.
He really is.
You know, he's after filling out an awful lot. Like, and I mean, we need to, and we need to enjoy these players, because some of these guys in 12 months' time, there could be serious demands on their qualities going elsewhere. Because if they continue the same trend they're going on, and they have good Champions Leagues, there's going to be a queue of clubs looking for some of these guys.
Just before Welchie has a heart attack, there was a thing up on Twitter. I have to find it, that there was 2 Americans over in Scotland for the match, and they thought the Ibrox was an Ibis hotel. when they were passing it, they thought it was an Ibis hotel, and the taxi driver told them, "No, that's Ibrox, that's Rangers Stadium." They couldn't believe how shitty it looked. They thought it was the Ibis hotel. Imagine that! Like, they thought it was Ibis hotel, that it looked so fucking shitty. Moving on. Next up for Celtic is Spanish Giants and Champions League runners Real Madrid on Tuesday. at Celtic Park at 8 a.m. The question is, should we fear Real Madrid? Is there a chance for ourselves in this game? They played 4 so far this season. They won 4. Ancelotti's kind of the lineup he kind of goes for is Courtois, Alba, Rudiger, Milito, Vasquez, Cruz, Caminoni, Modric, Varad, Benzema, and Vincent Jr. I also heard a comment from Ancelotti this week, Terence, saying his team need to tighten up at the back because of the way Celtic play. That his team need to tighten up. They need to be aware of Celtic speed, he said. So, do you think we can get a result against them?
Look, anything is possible, Paul. Anything is possible. I mean, like head and heart, you're obviously thinking heart, yeah. But like, there's a potential that Celtic could get a draw. But this is a level of player that most of these players will not have come up against, and it's a monumental step up from the shite they had to play the other day. So do you know what I mean? You're looking at, as you said, you name a Stephen Davis and a Kamara and Kent and these. You're naming these Muppets, and then you go and you mention Modric and Benzema and that junior fella and all these quality guys, Courtois and all these. It's a massive step up for Celtic. And look, they're going to be going into the game confident, and they should be going into the game confident. Look, they've got nothing to lose. They won't be expected to win. They won't be expected to win by the anyone outside a Celtic fan. But maybe it's the first game. There's a potential to get it. I think there's a possibility to get a draw out of it. You know what I mean? Hopefully, fingers crossed. But it's the quality that they've got, Paul, is something that this team would not have come up against.
Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to be space for us, Mark. I think there will be space. Like if you look at Modric and Cruz, they're not going to be able to track back with the likes of the speed that we played, like Hayate and all that. They're not going to be able to track back them. No, I think there will be space there.
Paul, the way especially at Celtic Park, I mean, go back to when we beat Barcelona, nobody gives a hope in hell that night. Mm-hmm. At Celtic Park, a European night, I'm old enough to know it, you're old enough to know it, Paul, anything can happen. It's really, I mean, Sterling says it's a Real Madrid, it's really, you're at the top end into it, really. You're at the creme de la creme level of football and that.
But is it going to be like, Mark, is it going to be like when we saw Brendan Rodgers and he didn't change his team, he didn't change the way he played against PSG and Barcelona, and we got a hiding. I mean, what's different with Ange's system to Brendan Rodgers' system if Ange sticks to his philosophy?
The pressing, Paul, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The harassing and hassling them when they've got the ball.
Because I know Rudiger wouldn't like that.
No, even Modric doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Modric likes to take his... I mean, don't get it wrong. If we give Modric space, he'll run the show all night with it, and he'll probably not move more than 10 yards in either directions. You get what I mean? But the way Celtic are harassing players, you get out there, you said, Paul, their defence don't like the people getting in their face. And I don't know if it's a blessing. I don't mean this. Maybe if Kyogo's maybe it's going to be only fit for the bench, and we start with Giacomakis, because I think he would cause, what we were saying earlier, I think he could cause your defence a hell of a lot of problems. I really do.
I think now that there's an injury to Kyogo, we're guaranteed G-Mark is going to play in there. I think you're right, Mark. I think he will cause problems for Real Madrid. Will Ange stick with Merida and Jota? For me, I think he should, because there's going to be a lot of space for them because they're two left backs, Mark, like to push up as well. So there will be space for them.
I'd go with Jota and Abada.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because
you said Maida.
Did I? Sorry, Jota and Abada. I thought there'd be space for them to run in there.
That's well, she's saying he thinks Maida will play. John Duncan.
I think he will too, Mark. The reason because I think he'll play, because I think Ange might think that Maida's pace would actually catch Real Madrid out.
Plus he's good at the pressing side of things as well, isn't it? So maybe he will go for Maida.
Do you think there's a call for Aaron Moy starting? I do.
I would, Terence. I'd go Moy, Callum Mack, and O'Reilly. I think that's a strong midfielder, and let Moy sit back and dictate our game with his passing.
I do too, because I think you have to understand that the likelihood is, compared to all the games that Celtic normally play, especially the SPL, Celtic would be the dominant team of the ball. There's a good possibility that it'll be slightly roles reversed tomorrow, that Real Madrid will have the ball a lot more than Celtic are used to.
Mhm.
And I do think, and I know Mark has mentioned it here numerous occasions on it, that the fear is having Callum McGregor in that holding role, that you just fear that the tackling side of it and just that defensively minded stuff. I think Aaron Moy would fit in there perfectly tomorrow, just for that, basically horses for courses. You know what I mean? You don't have to change your formation, you don't have to change anything, but just maybe tweak the personnel ever so slightly.
Just looking at the squad, we have Joe Hart, Scott Bain, Seagrass, Craig Taylor, Carl Starfelt, Mortes Jens, Cameron Carter Vickers, Alexander Benaby, Anthony Valsin, Stephen Welch, Joseph Janovic, Rio Hayase, Cal McGregor, James McCarthy, Aaron Moy, Matt O'Reilly, Oliver Allegard, David Turnbull, Hakazanovic, Lee Labada, James Forrest, Kyogo, Yata, Miida, and Jake Marcus. Iguchi Apps is the one who actually is missing out, and that is likely explained by UEFA rules concerning the inclusion of the home nation's club trained talents: Cal McGregor, James Forrest, Anthony Vaz, and Stephen Veg, all count as club trained, while James McCarthy, Scott Bain, Craig Taylor, and Dave Turnbull count as non-trained. Fulfilled 8 requirements. So, Mark, that's what you were saying. They were included because they were in kind of the Scottish game
when they were younger. Aye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think's the score with Gucci, Paul? I know you're a big fan of his, and I'm not trying to have a pop at you, but has he just been injury prone or what?
You know, Mark, it really is a mystery to me why we have a player that suits this role that we're saying, you know. So either
Is this new signing? Is he going to push Gucci further down the
I
pecking order?
think so. Yeah, I think so. I
definitely
think the
so,
plan.
yeah.
I think the plan was here for McCarthy to go. I think that was the plan, and have Gucci and the lad Oliver as the two CDM kind of roles. But now that McCarthy's there, it's who's pushed down the line? Is it McCarthy? Is it Gucci? I mean, we don't know. Like, we have 3 players now fighting for one.
4 players.
Aye.
You know, 4
because you can count Aaron Moy. Like,
yeah,
I think Aaron Moy.
Well,
I think Aaron Moy and Eman Oliver are basically, in my opinion, are Postecoglou's 2 picks for that holding role now. I think McCarthy's obviously surplus to requirements, and I think Gucci is probably surplus to requirements.
I think so too. The reason, because Terence, I think he seems to be picking up a lot of injuries, and this is what happened to him when he was at Leeds. Yeah. He started picking up these injuries when he was at Leeds as a youngster. He started picking up these niggling injuries, Mark. That we see with James Forrest, Mark. He seems to be coming into the team. He seems to be picking up injuries then. And is that down to a lack of football, Mark, that he's only coming in doing a bit part? Maybe that's why he's picking up these injuries, you know. But I think, look, I have to say it, like, I don't think he's going to be part of Aaron's first team plans for a while.
No, you know? Especially maybe for this first half of the season, Paul, because, well, let's face it, with the Champions League games getting played, Paul, if there's a chance of game time, it's going to be the likes of McCarthy that's going to get it, rather than Gucci that's not going to be involved with any possibility. I mean, all it takes is a couple of injuries, and McCarthy's the first kind of number 1 sub for the positions, you know what I mean? So he'll need the players that are in that Champions League squad. For me, that's the kind of pecking order. You know what
Interesting thing, actually, right, that I read about this fella, Oliver, right, the lad we signed from Ruben Kazan, right? He's 2 contracts at the moment, right? He still has his contract with Ruben Kazan, and he's a separate contract to Celtic, right? Now, under UEFA rules at the moment, he can terminate his contract with the Russian club because of this ongoing war, or he can decide to go. Now, if he decides to go with Celtic, Mac, we don't pay a fee.
I don't know.
No,
I'm just trying to look. I'm just trying to look something up, because Ed too put something up about it the other day.
Actually, what we're doing is we just took on his wages. That's exactly what Celtic did, Mark. We just took on his wages for the year. That's basically what we did. We paid no loan fee. There's no obligation to buy. There's no buy clause. That's basically, and I heard that from shit. I forgot where I read this, but that's what my understanding is that he can terminate his contract at the end of the season if he wants to leave. Rube can't sign.
It's all to do with sanctions the UK government's put on Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find where it was. The post Tim Malloy asked, and I just left it for Ed 2 to deal with. I'll try and find it, but it's definitely a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
When's his contract up with the Russians?
He still has a 2-year contract with them. 2 years still, I think.
2 years?
2 years. Yeah, still has 2 years. Yeah.
Trying to find that post on the forum.
But it would make it would make it all the more obvious, Paul, that if you're bringing in a guy for 12 months in that CDM role, and that Postecoglou is clearly looking at him for that role. He's clearly not looking at McCarthy, and he's clearly not looking at Gucci. Because if you've already got 2 guys there, and you're willing to bring a guy in for 12 months to pay his wages, Postecoglou never hasn't struck me as a guy that's going to bring in a guy, pay his wages for 12 months, just to have him involved in the squad or sitting in the sideline. He doesn't strike me. He hasn't done that with any of the guys he's actually brought in. Every one of them have been involved. So you can very much imagine that he's gonna look to do that. I even wondered, has he brought him in as a potential centre back because he's left-footed and they don't have a left-sided centre back. Mm-hmm. That was, if they were stuck or something, or was it going to be playing in a 3 if they were stuck or something like that? But definitely, if they're bringing him in and they've got Aaron Moy, the other 2 boys for me are definitely surplus to requirements.
Oh, definitely. I you know what? If you look to Terence last season, we've tried McCarthy. Gucci didn't get a run because of his injuries. I think this is why Gucci can't get a team, because Ange fears that he's going to be picking up injuries all the time, and he wants some consistent in there. So You're right what you're saying. Like he brought in this fella for 12 months. Like that, the 2 lads aren't going to be part of his plans. No. They've settled on the transfer window late that look, if offers come in for James McCarthy, they will let him go. You know, it's clear that McCarthy's not part of Ange's plans.
And if you look at it, McGregor starts in that position 9 out of 10 games. At the minute, it's himself, Hatate, and O'Reilly. So you have McGregor sitting in that area at the minute. I know Ange probably wants to push him further up the field, but he can start him in that position in SPL games. So that's McGregor in that position. 2 guys he's brought in to fill that role in Aaron Moy and obviously that Oliver fella. Because every time Aaron Moy comes on, he goes into McGregor's position and he allows McGregor just push further forward. Mm-hmm. So
Strangelove says don't ride off Gucci. Yes, as a Nance signing. Look, if you listen to the last year's podcast, you would know that I'm a huge Gucci fan. Because there was only one reason we signed him. I think we saw what Gucci can do, Mark, during pre-season is that he can defend and he can attack the ball.
We've just not seen much of him, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still Paul really be Gucci. We're just going on what we've seen on YouTube videos.
Yeah.
We've really not seen enough of him in a Celtic talk to make any judgment on him.
But you can't see him getting a start even in any game though, because even if it's a League Cup game or a cup game,
wasn't that the same with Beaton?
That's what I've seen.
He didn't want to drop Beaton because Beaton was doing so well. If it's not broken, why fix it?
Yeah, you know what I mean? but you can't see. I can't see Gucci even coming into any of those. If they're technically deemed a lesser game, if it's for argument's sake, they have a League Cup game against, I don't know, say Alloa or someone like that, or a cup game against Alloa. You still can't see Gucci coming in to start that game with all that's in front of him.
Not just Gucci, I can't see McCarthy coming in.
No, neither the 2 of them.
He'll come in before Gucci, Paul, for a simple reason. McCarthy's got to be game fit for the European Cup games, for the Champions League games. Gucci doesn't. That's what I'm saying. If there's a League Cup game you've got to keep your Champions League players fit. because see, we have a couple of injuries and McCarthy is the number one substitute for that position come during a Champions League game. There's no point in playing Gucci to get him game time and then come a Champions League game, McCarthy sitting there no any minutes and we're calling on him to play against. Do you get what I mean? RP Leipzig or somebody like that.
But just looking at the group itself, is it a group that we can that you think we can get out of, that we can maybe push for second, or do we settle for Europa League football? I think it's a group that we surely can give a push for second, Mark.
I'd like to think so. I really would. I'd like to think that we're challenging for second, and I'd be really, really disappointed if we don't get third place in it. Because I know Shakhtar Donetsk, but Shakhtar Donetsk right now, Paul, aren't the Shakhtar Donetsk that were a good, strong team.
No, they're a young team, Mark. They're a very young team that were kind of molded
just
together.
Just because you're back to politics again, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They're trying to get players in. So I think we'll beat Shakhtar Donetsk both home and away. I really do. Leipzig, I think we'll beat them at home. I think it'll come down to if we can get something away from home to them, Paul.
But what is a good advantage for us as well is we're playing Madrid in the last game, and you're nearly guaranteed terms that they're going to be qualified by then. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say that too, Paul. The draw in regards to the way the games have fallen perfectly for Celtic, because it's Madrid at home. I think it's Leipzig away. Then it's back to back Shakhtar Donetsk, and then it's Leipzig at home, and then away to Madrid. So, games 2 to 5, if that's right, whatever. That's where Celtic have the chance. That if they get results in those games, they can finish second. I'd be the same boat as Mark. I'd be very disappointed if they didn't get it worse third, because unfortunately, with everything that's going on in Shakhtar Donetsk are in turmoil. They're not playing at home. They're basically playing all their games in Poland. So a lot of their players have gone. So, Celtic need to. That's a back-to-back game. So for Celtic, that's, you need to be looking at trying to get, 6 points out of those two games. And obviously, like Mark said, the Leipzig one, and the Madrid game, the last game, you'd imagine Madrid would be qualified, and there's a potential, but you wouldn't like to be wanting to go to Madrid needing a result. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's definitely in Celtic's hands.
One thing, Mark, that would concern me about the Shakhtar's the next game is what we see with the Ukrainian team, the Ukrainian national team. That they're playing for pride of their country and what's happening there, and that could urge and give team strength as well in game. So we need to be kind of play the game, not the occasion. Do you get me?
Aye. Just don't go overawed with it.
Yeah.
Just honestly, as I said earlier, Paul, this is you're playing one of the best teams in the world for the game of football was invented. They've always got multi-million-pound superstar players. It's a massive ask for the Celtic team. And see, I don't think we'll get humped. I don't. And as I said earlier, anything at Celtic Park, anything can happen on a European night. But if the players just go out there and do what Ange tells them to do, we'll not get embarrassed. That's a certainty. And I'm dying to say I think we'll win, but I'm not wanting to say it because I'll get pelters if they get pumped. You know what I mean? But everybody, really, as I said, it's at Celtic Park. See if Celtic beat them 2-1, you'd be ecstatic. But deep down in your heart, you wouldn't really be surprised. You'd just say the old Celtic magic again, wouldn't you? Because it's happened to, how many big teams have came to Celtic Park, people have wrote us off and we've done the business against them. So maybe this is going to be another one of the nights.
The fans will be key again, Tuesday night, Terence.
They do, yeah. Oh, big time. I was just going to say as well there, Paul, what Mark was saying. But they need to try and get Celtic Park back to being a fortress. It hasn't been for the last number of years in whether it be Europa League or Champions League. It hasn't been a place. Yes, the atmosphere and everything has been good, but it hasn't been a place where teams have come and they've kind of, I won't say feared it, but there's been apprehension there because Celtic haven't played well there for the last number of years, and they need to generate that back and get that back and get it in a situation where teams are coming and they're kind of wary of coming already before they get there. And, the fans are going to play a massive part, Paul. And, I mean, obviously, look, it's Champions League. It's the first time it's been there in a number of years. I imagine even though there's no roof there, they'll lift the roof off on Tuesday night. It'll be a fantastic occasion.
Mm-hmm. I was reading up on Mark, the Japanese journalist, Dan Ololovitz, and he was saying they're very excited over in Japan to see Ange's football in Europe, because it's never been tried and tested in Europe, and it's a big test. But not only a big test for Celtic, but a big test for other teams, because of what you were saying, Mark, the high press, the tempo. It's going to be a big test for other teams as well to stop Celtic.
Well, definitely. But the way we play, the way we harass them and we're hunting packs and everything, Paul. A lot of these teams won't know what's happening when they come to Celtic Park and realise the kind of intensity that we play the game for the full game. Do you get? Other teams will play it in wee bursts. Do you get what I mean? They'll play it for 10 minutes and then they'll sit back a wee bit. But it just seems, especially at Celtic Park, it's just constant pressure. We're always in another team's face.
Mm-hmm. Do we put Jens in that back line, Terence, to handle the high threat by Benzema instead of starting into that back line?
Does Ancelotti say they might not play Benzema?
He did, yeah.
Rest
he did say that. Yeah.
Shite in it.
Yeah. He shat his kicks.
Bottles went already. No, but I've seen Ancelotti say that. That's a plus for us. Do you get what I mean?
That's what Real Madrid do. Real Madrid just want to get out of the group.
Aye. That's what they bother about.
Yeah.
They don't see Real Madrid are at that kind of level, Paul. They don't even care if that. They don't even care if they come second in their group.
Mark, let's put it this way. And I'm not thinking like Real Madrid are a good team, but they're not the Real Madrid of 10 years ago. Do you get me? When they had the Glasgows that were there. Do you get me? It's not the same Real Madrid club. I mean, they haven't spent big because they can't spend big. I mean, they're not only a Barcelona struggling with money, but I think Real Madrid as well, Mark, because
Paul, we just won the European Cup, man.
I know, Paul. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
But they're not the same Real Madrid. They're not like.
But they're still European champions, Paul.
I know they're European champions, but I'm just saying, like, they're not the same. They don't have.
Ronaldo in their prime. I know what you're getting at that, but they've still got the majority. I mean, they've still got some of the best players in the world playing their team, Paul.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, if I that fucking. I think Celtic could give them a good fright on Tuesday, Mark.
Do you want me to edit that out later before I put that one?
I always stand by my comments.
Just PayPal me a tenner or Paul, and I'll cut that out before I put that out.
I always stand by comments. I'd be fought for Ancelotti to play his strongest side. I don't want him to be resting no one. Give Celtic the test. Let us come up against the best team in Europe, as he said. Do you know what I mean?
But because Paul, see the thing about it, nobody's giving us a hope in hell. Nobody's giving us a chance. Really, you ask anybody that maybe knows a wee bit about football, but they don't follow it as such. See if you went and say who do you think would win between Celtic, Real Madrid, they'd be like, it'll be Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. Just because they are Real Madrid, but they've always got one of the best teams in the world. But I mean, if they come to Celtic Park, see, even if they beat us 2-1, 2-0, 3-1 or something like that, you can't start turning on the players or injured that. But there will be people, there'll be fans out there that do that. Oh, that's Ange ball being fun out, and this been. Do you get what I mean? And for me, it's just one of the games that you just wait and see what happens, and whatever happens, you take it in the chin and move on for it. We could get pumped for all we know. I don't think we will get pumped, but we could get pumped. But we could sneak a win. We could get a draw. We could just have an even 50-50 game. Do you know what I mean? But it's one of the best teams in the world we're playing, sir.
I don't think we'll get pumped.
No, I don't think we'll get pumped. I really don't.
I don't. I can't see an Ange team really getting pumped. And if I'm honest, but if we do, it's up to Ange Denmark to rectify that for the next games. Do you get me? You know?
Aye. But I mean, let's not be kidding. His tactics probably been spot on.
Oh, spot on, that.
He'll know himself that Real Madrid are more than capable of coming to Celtic Park and getting Celtic
If you remember, as
again.
he said when he
It's
first
up
took
to
the
him
job,
now to start planning how that's not going to happen.
It's like when he first came to the club, Mark, when the journalist asked him, like, how do you think you're going to fare in Europe when you're not?
Ange's got a better jumper than Ancelotti.
Do you remember when he was asked by the journalist, how do you think you're going to manage in Europe that you've never managed? He was going, mate, I haven't been living on the moon. Do you know what I mean? Football is football. I live in football. He knows what Real Madrid were about. He knows what way Real Madrid, and I think he knows too, Mark, how this Celtic team will get at him. You know.
But he also knows, like, yeah.
He'll have been planning this for the draw, Paul. I know for Ange it comes out, we just eat one game at a time, blah, blah, blah. But for that draw being made, Ange himself, he said that he's a football addict, do you know what I mean? He'll have been studying every single inch of Real Madrid footage that he can get his hands on over the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. And maybe spoke about how he kind of went with maybe like two defensive midfielders, Paul. I wouldn't still be surprised to see if he pulled something like that out his bag for a game like this.
And even like this team it's not just a team that the Celtic supporters or Cal McGregor came out and said he wants Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody wanted them.
You know, so I don't think they want to embarrass themselves either, Mark. So they're going to give it a fight. I think Celtic could get at most, if we got a job, it'd be brilliant. Like, but I don't think we're going to get hammered.
I think Postecoglou as well is a man to learn. Though. Sorry, Mark. One.
Yeah.
No, on you go, Terence.
I was going, Paul. I think Postecoglou is a great man to learn, and I think he saw what happened last year in certain European games when Celtic played a specific way, or they maybe sacrificed themselves going too far forward, and they got like the Leverkusen the game at home, where they got torn apart, and even little things like the Bodo Glint and these ones. So like he's gonna know, like Mark has just mentioned there. It wouldn't be a surprise if you saw him starting an RMI beside a Callum McGregor and
I think
O'Reilly just in front of him. I think it'd be the sensible thing to do. Like
when we saw that in pre-season, and I said it to you, Mark, is he trying this for the Champions League games?
A wee bit more protection for the defence.
Yeah, he brought in this defensive midfielder. He either played Gucci and McCarthy together, or he played one or both. So I think he was testing that, and I think he probably will play Moy and O'Reilly and Callum there. You know,
is that who you think it's going to be? The midfield three on Tuesday?
I think so, Mark. But then, like, Hayate just seems to be afraid of us on the Ange, don't he? You know, are we losing something then when we take Hayashi out of the team, Mark? You know, are we?
Well, I think we are. But see the thing about it, Paul. See, although we talk about the similarities with players and how we're replacing like for like with our subs, they do still bring different attributes to the team in the game. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard.
The other day, like, do you know what I mean?
I mean, let's be honest. It's really right. We kind of know who Angie's going to pick, but even not just three guys and what about the guys in the live chat? What is the ideal like 3-man midfield for Celtic out of who we've got? For me, it's a really hard one to pick because then you see how if we're playing this team we could go more attacking. If we're playing this team we need a wee bit more muscle kind of thing. It really is hard to pick like the three best midfielders in the club now.
No, it's not. It's like.
Well, you're going to pick. You can't say Moyes one of the best midfielders in the club, and you're
I'm saying it's not that easy. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not that easy. And I think what Ange does, Marks, is he decides in the game.
That's what I mean. Without doing that, you can't. For me, it's hard to pick. There, Welsh saying Hatate.
I think that's what he's going to go for. That's what he's going to go for. But are we going to be too light?
Exactly. That's what we're saying, Paul. That's who we do. Probably the majorities would go with. It's Hatate, Cal O'Reilly, but then but against Real Madrid, you want to get somebody else. Do you get what I mean? So it's a difficult choice to make.
I mean, you have Mark, who's one of the best readers of the game. Tony Cruz. I mean, Tony Cruz is one of the best German players to ever play in Europe, in my opinion, the way he reads the ball.
Aye,
Shows
he's a fantastic player.
You go on about Modric and thing, but you look at Tony Cruz, Terence, he controls Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, he does. Oh, that's the thing, though, Paul. They're you got Modric and Cruz, and the two of them are sensational. The two of them are like top players.
Is filling in for Camarasa now. He gives them more energy. Do you get me?
That was what I was going to. They missed TB Cruz and Modric there. There isn't much mobility and energy into it.
But they dominate the midfield, though, Mark. That's the biggest thing. They dominate the ball.
If you give them time in that midfield, they'll control the game all day long. So we need to get in a bit they too.
I think
we need Minders or Terence to
I think I'd be very controversial now. I think he's going to start. It'd be controversial, obviously. I think he's going to start Moy, Hatate, and McGregor. I don't think he's going to start O'Reilly.
Oh,
interesting.
That's a statement.
Yeah, I think he's going to start. I think he's going to start Moy, Hatate, and McGregor. McGregor going further forward and the two boys sitting. I genuinely do.
A bit lightweight, is it? No.
Well, I don't know, but I think that's what I think, because I think for Hatate with he's a good man covering back and spraying passes and the whole lot. And I think Aaron Moy in that sitting role. Now, I hope obviously O'Reilly does play, because he's got that little bit of extra quality. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did go with that midfield three, to be honest.
You see, the best thing is about it, Mark, is at the moment you can't predict the starting lineup. Like you can basically predict Hart, Jovanovic, Vickers. It's either Vickers then or Starfelt or Jens and Taylor. You can predict the back four, but after that back four, you're lost. Who was Ange going to pick? Do you know what I mean? Everyone taught me.
Well, you can say no. You know Cal Mack's going to start.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jota, and Jota's going to start.
You know.
I'd say that would be it. Cal Mack and Jota. For the other, like the midfield and attacking, then again you just really can take your pick. I know a lot of Celtic fans they're a bit indifferent to Turnbull, but I really like David Turnbull.
He had a good game the other day when he came on.
I really like Turnbull.
Interesting about Turnbull, what we didn't see in the last couple of years, Mark, is his ability to read the game, and he read what McLaughlin was going to do with that ball. Now, a tumble on the knee Lennon, I think, wouldn't have spotted that. And this is what Ange brought to the team with his press, and Turnbull has learned from that as well, is push up in the keeper, and the keeper's going to panic. And Turnbull read the pass that he was trying to pass out to Arfield that time, because Turnbull got right in line of McLaughlin's pass. I think Turnbull 2-3 years ago, Mark, wouldn't have saw that move. Do you get me?
Aye, I know what you mean.
I think Turnbull has learned.
He's matured as a player.
Reading the game. I think that's one thing that we said over the years of Turnbull was his reading of the game. And
okay, he's got all the ability in the world.
Oh, but definitely.
Because I don't even think he shows enough yet. I think no consistency, Paul. I think he needs to play with a bit more freedom. See the way, I don't mean modelling self, but see the way Rogic shoot when Rogic get the ball. You get what I mean? Rogic would be trying to take men on. For me, Turnbull's got the same kind of level of ability as Rogic is. He just needs to, for me, I don't know if it's whether it's confidence or whatever, but just be a wee bit more arrogant about the way he plays the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does. I mean, he always puts in a good shift and he never lets us down and stuff like that. But I think he could just take it to another level if he kind of just developed a wee bit of a bit of swagger about him during the game, Paul.
The big debate for me is for Tuesday night, and I know Welchie would agree with me here, and Terence would agree with me, and a lot of Celtic fans is if Maeda plays, we're slotting Jota over to the right, and we're losing, I think, the best of Jota on the right. Now I know he got his goal from the right, he took that well, he's running, but I think he's better running off the left than he is off the right. And I know he can play both rings, but there's obviously a strength. His strength is on the left. Like, it's a big call for Ange Terence. Do we drop Abada, bring Maeda in, push Yota over there? I can see why he wants to play Maeda, because Maeda will press that Real Madrid defence, and they won't like that. Rudiger doesn't like knowing him as in the Premier League, and you know him as the Premier League.
Yeah.
Rudiger doesn't like being manhandled.
But
doesn't like it at all.
But there's nothing wrong, Paul, with just leaving Jota on the left wing and playing Maeda on the right. Do you know? I mean,
Maeda can do that though. I don't think he can play.
I know, but
right.
they've switched so many times in games. You've often seen them the wingers switching over and back. Well, you might need it in this game if it's a situation that you feel that you're not going to have the majority of the ball and you need to press high. And if you feel that you need to change, put Maeda on the left and bring Jota on the right just to allow Maeda to press, then in my opinion you should start with Jota and Abada. You know,
would you start Maeda because Maeda would track back, Mark? Do you get me?
Just before it goes out my heat, Paul, before we finish, mind me to get back on this ruling about
the lad Oliver, is it?
Aye, the lad Oliver, that's me just actually fun it. Aye, mind me before we finish to go back over that. Sorry to interrupt you too easier.
No, we're just discussing, like, what does Ange do, Mark, with Maeda? Does he bring in Maeda and put Yota in and let them switch out through the game, or does he start with Abada? It's like we saw the effect Abada has in big games. Abada, as what Terence was saying, gets into these positions where we do score goals, and he does that very, very well.
I mean, Maeda, again, Paul, it's just two totally different players, isn't it? Do you get what I mean? Maeda, for me, he does a lot of running about, Paul, but I don't know, sometimes he's not really producing much when he's got the ball, really, is he?
Yeah, but did you see his pass against Ross County, though, Mark, when he didn't even look?
Paul, that's one pass. We're talking about game in, game out.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, I know, I can see why Ange plays him is because of his high press.
That's what I'm saying. But apart from that, Paul, what really does he offer?
But do you think, Paul, that you have to change?
I mean,
your most prominent attacker. Do you think you have to change? Sorry, Mark. You have to change your most prominent attacker in Jota to fit a guy in there who's good at just tracking up and down the line. That should be second nature. That should be second nature to the wingers.
I think he should start Abad and Yota, but if he starts with Maeda, I can see why he starts with Maeda, because I know Maeda will track back.
He might start with Maeda for the pressing and the kind of
back,
the high energy he plays with. And if he does that, Paul, for the only reason I can see him doing that is to try and tire the Real Madrid.
Tire him down and then being on Abada, yeah.
I mean, right, I'll put it to you this way. You've got, who out of the two of them would you expect to produce something that could win us a game against Real Madrid? Abada, exactly. Yeah, if you're looking at the way Celtic are playing the new non-foreign players and the quality players that we've got the front three: Jota, Abada, Kyogo, or Gio. I mean, you can't really drop it's like it'd be like Real Madrid dropping Hazard. Do you get what I mean?
Hazard?
No.
Modric.
Aye, one of their most important players. For me, Abada and Jota are the type of players that can win the game for Celtic. Maeda's tactically he'll do a good job and he'll put in a shift, he'll harass and he'll do the pressing and stuff like that, Paul. But for what I've seen him, he's not going to produce anything kind of a bit different, a wee bit magical that's going to get Celtic. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
A wee bit unexpected.
Maeda gets the defence rushing their pass, then it's easier for the second wave of pressing. It helps create havoc. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I think Maeda will do to their defence, Mark. He'll upset their defence because you know the Spanish football, Mark, and stuff like that. They don't like being upset. Do you know what I mean? And I think
they don't like getting harassed. They're looking for time in the ball and stuff like that.
That's why I think Maeda might get the nod over Bawz because of that.
So it is more a tactical thing than an actual...
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think it'd be a tactical thing back for Maeda to come in and upsettle them. But My biggest problem with that is pushing Yota off to the right.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying though, Paul. You're basically sacrificing your best attacker in that sense
Your
to
star man, basically. Let's face
yeah,
it, Terence Jota is a kind of star man,
yeah.
isn't he?
You're sacrificing him. You're bringing him from a position where you know he's of strength to potentially weakening the team on the right because he's not as strong. To put Maeda on that side, who's very good at pressing, but doesn't basically isn't a great provider. Hasn't a high level of providing assists and things. Do you know? To me, like if you watch the game the other day, Jota pressed high, Abada pressed high. He ran all day. I don't see any reason why they can't do that against Real Madrid and stay in their normal positions. Like if you were going to play Maeda, I'd play him on the right. I know you're saying it's not his best position, but I wouldn't take Jota off the left if that's his strength.
Well, that's
just to accommodate someone.
I'm agreeing with you. Like that's my point I'm trying to make is why we can't do that.
We've all got our opinion, but we're thinking what Angie's Raider going to do in it, Paul. That's what you're saying. You think Angie's going to start
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't know why he risks putting Yota over on the right. Like, why doesn't he just rest Yota and put Abad over on the right? Do you get me? And then you're losing your star player just to put Maeda into that team. Do you get me? I would personally, for me, I'd have for this game, I'd have Maeda kind of more central. Do you get me? That he'd be able to press down the middle smack, and you have your two center wingers, and then we're risking a midfielder.
That's what I was going to say. Then you're dropping one of the midfielders.
Yeah, but are we going to have this player, Mark, that we say we need that would push the Madrid midfield? That would like. I don't think if we had Maeda in there, would Modric and Kroos like him nibbling at their feet the whole game for 90 minutes? I don't think they would.
I can see your point with that. I can see your point with that.
He's played this role in Japan, kind of a more central role in Japan. He's played this where he did this role. You know, so like
I don't see Ange doing that at all.
No,
but I do know what you mean. Just getting him in there. A player like that, somebody's just going to be nipping at their heels for the foot every time they've got the ball. I can see your point with that, bud. I really can.
Yeah, but like if you want to bring Mead into a game, Mark, and not sacrifice your two best players, is you're going to maybe have to sacrifice someone in the midfield. You know,
that's still for me. It would be Jota and Abada I would go with, because it's the two players we've got that could hurt them. They've got that wee bit of special, that wee bit of making something out of nothing, the unexpected. That's
I agree, yeah.
That's what I would tell.
You know,
it's a midfield three, it really is. That's the only kind of sticking point for me.
You know, I think he'd go there what Welshie is saying. I think he'll go high. But then, look, it's after a big game on Saturday, will he rest one of them? Or just big man saying Denmark players don't rest? Do you mean they rest through the summer? Do you mean
that's why I was actually surprised with the Ross County team. I get no the Ross County team, the team against Ross County the other night, because see if you mind last season, and Ange came out and even says, "No, it doesn't matter what we're playing in. I play the best team that I can put out."
Big question for you here, Mark. There, just 2 seconds. Is all of last season through all our games in cups, leagues, European cups, and things, not once did he rest Hart. Right, last Thursday he brought in Seagrass into the Ross County game. So this is telling me that Ange doesn't rate Scott Bain.
Oh, well, Seagrass is obviously number 2.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that Scott Bain didn't get a run of games last season at all, only when Hart picked up that.
Aye.
I think, but he never rested Joe Hart. Do you get me? And the first kind of cup game we're in, he puts in Seagrass. Do you get me? Like, does he not rate freaking Scott Bain? I think, you know.
Well, either that, I'd tell you. I've told Seagrass that he'll be the keeper in the cup for games like that, Paul. Because I don't think for that. I mean, I'm not going to do that again, but surely
I'm
Seagrass
surprised Scott Bain stayed here. Like,
aye, but I'm surprised. I'm still surprised with saying Seagrass, Paul. I've still not get over the surprise of that. For a keeper, he has ability to be happy enough to be your number 2, but he must have had promises of game time, Paul, because he's not going to just come and just to sit on the bench. So he's going to, maybe they're just going to be, he's going to be the keeper for cup games and even getting to the final and stuff like that. Other teams do
you think maybe
keepers?
The sign of Seagrass, Terence, like we have good competition for Joe Hart, but what I did notice from Joe Hart in the Rangers game is he's commanding in the air. Yeah, commanding the ball in the air, coming out, getting the ball in the air. Like we didn't see that from Hart yesterday. We saw Seagrass doing this against Ross County. He very commanding in the air. So I think this is going to push Hart more and more. Like I love Joe Hart. I think Joe Hart's the best signing we ever. Between all the signings we did, Joe Hart for me is still the best. €1 million, the experience alone, what he brings, just fantastic bit of business. Terence.
Oh yeah, it is a fantastic bit of business, and you're right, Paul, because Seagrass is a lot closer to Joe Hart's ability, and can push Joe Hart, because Joe Hart would see it as a serious challenge. You know, like to be fair, Scott Bain was no challenge whatsoever to Joe Hart. You know what I mean? There was never an issue there. It was basically cross your fingers and toes and everything else that Joe Hart didn't get injured. Now, you wouldn't want Joe Hart to get injured, but you'd feel a lot more confident if Seagrass was in goals. Then, if you saw Scott Bain tagging out, you'd be like, "Oh, sweet Jesus!"
Yeah, you would. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's a huge difference. And obviously, I would imagine that, like Marcus said there, I would imagine that Seagrass will play the cup games, like you would see in a lot of games. Like I know you meant is it Kevin Kelleher, the Liverpool guy, the Cork lad. He would have played all the cup games for Liverpool. So I imagine Seagrass would have been given some assurances like that, as Marcus said, that he may start all the League Cup games and the cup matches, and Joe Hart will be in the league barring injury. So yeah, I mean it's a great backup to have Seagrass like there. You feel a lot more confident that if Joe Hart did get a knock, you've got a quality keeper coming in to replace him.
Seagrass is a fantastic signing. The Zombies would have loved a player of half as good. Like they were in for him, Mark. And
they were in for him. Probably even for before us, Paul.
You know what, Mark? I think that definitely came down to money with Seagrass. I think they knew that this financial fair play thing was going to hit them, and that's why they did no signings this season. You know?
Oh, I don't know, Paul, because McGregor must have been a tidy wager there. And I think if they could have got Seagrass, I think McGregor would have been out the door. Or if McGregor had been out the door, to me it was all tied in with whether McGregor stayed or left. That was the thing. But if he'd signed for them, he'd be their number 1 keeper. There's no doubt about it. He'd have played against us yesterday.
Definitely.
Did they get beat 7-0?
Definitely. You know, I know, but he is like it's good.
It's I mean,
like,
we can all name good keepers. We can all remember good keepers we've had, like Boric and people. But to have 2 keepers, and I mean, even Paul, when Jonas was on last season, we always spoke about Seagrass and said how we'd like to sign him, but not to replace Hart, but he'd be a great number 2, but we can't see that happening. So I'm still amazed that it did happen. So I'm more than happy with Seagrass being our backup keeper.
Well, Seagrass said himself, Mark, when he was a young keeper, it was the Premier League he used to watch, and it was Joe Hart in the Man City things that he used to. And for him, the training of Joe Hart, he said it's technique.
I read it a Packy Boner talk, Paul.
The man don't this pack, you know. And
I'm not dissing him, but that's what I heard. Him and being actual Novo had a Rangers talk, but Seagrass did a Packy Boner talk.
Did you see that there yesterday? There was fierce controversy, not just Rangers fans, but I saw Celtic fans doing it as well. That Sands, Tilleman and Cameron Vickers went out for dinner after the match. Rangers fans clearly got upset by it, and there was a few Celtic fans. And I'm looking going, lads.
But I know why that was.
These are
they were the manager. They were the USA manager.
They lost the bet. They lost the bet. See, because see if Celtic could get beat yesterday, the dinner was on Big Carter Vickers, and see because Carter Vickers won, the dinner was on them. They're good pals. Don't let anybody. That was just pals having a bet or a game of football, and they went out for dinner.
And the coach was there as well.
I saw them all going nuts or something. I can't. Was it Sands that asked for Yotis Top or something like that meant to be? I saw something on Twitter.
Mark, if they signed the Japanese player, the first course of action that Japanese player would be contact the likes of Maeda, Kyogo, Itaguchi, and Celtic. Do you know what I mean? Probably go for dinners with them, have dinners with them. The lads would have uproar against it. Do you know what I mean? There's no times have changed in football terms.
Especially with foreign players, Paul.
Yeah.
But didn't Simonovic and one of the the centre back who's played for Rangers, the Croatian fella, they went to mass every weekend with each other.
Aye,
do you know?
They went to these foreign players don't buy into all that kind of.
Yeah, no, but times have changed. They really have.
But they're all teammates at the end of the day. So they were with the USA coach yesterday out for a meal. I mean, they all both want to win, but at the end of the day, it's different. It's different for the people on the ground, so to speak. They live and breathe it. Yeah, the players want to win and they're mad to win it for their team, but they're not going to go, well, I'm not going out with so and so, you man who was my best friend there last week because he's now playing with Rangers or he's playing with Celtic or whatever. They don't see past that. Like
their wives and everything will be friends. Do you know what I mean? It's like we've spoke about when Abada came out and near Beaton invited him in his kind of family circle and stuff like that. So obviously, if these players that know each other for other countries and other national teams, they're all going to be friends.
I think Peter might need a DNA test in his child there because his child looks a bit like a bad there. Sorry, just saying.
If you looked at Kolic, is it Kolic that helped pronounce him, and Juranovic before they went out? Obviously, both teammates. They were both obviously, high fiving and hugging each other, whatever it is before the game, whatever. But I'm sure after the game they were chatting and having a chat that evening with each other. Do you know what I mean? It's
just pure banter kind of thing. Into just a bit of a wee dig at each other. There'll be no animosity.
It's nearly the nonsense of where a couple of months ago where Postecoglou met Van Bronckhorst in a coffee shop or something like that, and your man Ross Wilson was there as well, and they just happened to meet and they were having a chat, and I think they might have had a cup of tea together. It was carnage, like it was utter. He shouldn't be talking to him, and he shouldn't be talking to him. You're like, that's. They're having a chat.
No wonder people fucking hate them. Do you know what I mean? No wonder why people hate them. Like if they're like that. Like when I hear another Catholic out of our club, like if a player leaves, they're looking going, Jesus Christ, like you want to say that when he was playing with you. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, you have that. Listen,
Twitter, you're better not even reading the stuff that they put on Twitter. There's a lot of Celtic fans you're better not reading on Twitter as well, to be honest. You get what I mean? But
your Paul, I saw a thing about it.
I hate them. I hate Rangers and stuff like that. But I've not really got any pals that are Rangers supporters because I didn't go to school with Rangers supporters. I didn't grow up with Rangers supporters and stuff like that. I know Rangers supporters, but I wouldn't say I'm friendly with any of them. Do you get what I mean? But these players, they've not grew up like that. They're coming into a country to do a job, and obviously they'll find out what the undercurrent of it is, but they'll not let that bother them. Do you get what I mean? We're the Catholic team, but how come you're playing with that blue team then? Do you get what I mean? That kind of stuff.
Before we go, Mark, do you want to come back to that Daniel Oliver thing? Transfer?
It was Tim Alloy that asked. I left it for Ed 2, right? And Ed 2 said, for interpreting what is on the TMS, that's the FIFA transfer marketing system. That mind that boy up on Twitter, Paul, when he says he couldn't find out a pingway fee, a transfer fee. See that TMS system? That's a thing that the clubs, or every club has got access to, and there's one news agency that's got access to it, the Associated Press, right? And you find out everything contracts and everything's logged on there and electronically, right? So according to that, it's a loan with a caveat that if circumstances change, i.e. the sanctions, there'll be an option to buy. It's not related to FIFA rules, but to the British government taking a position that paying money to Russian sides aids the Russian economy. This slightly surreal view killed off a Premier League transfer for this window. So somebody's asked who it was, and it's Zach Harrion to Chelsea. So if that ring a bell to anybody, I don't know. And it's down to the UK government. It was before the government made this how we managed to do the Haxana bit of this deal. Before the government made this very odd decision. So it's not really any to do with FIFA. It's all to do with the actual government's rules towards dealing with Russia and that. They know that's making this a kind of muck up. And I think if the war ends, or the conflict, whatever you want to paint it up as, I think if it ends and things get back to normal, Paul, it could need to be a normal transfer again. But it's a case of, I think it's me. I'm maybe just dumbing this down, but for me, Paul, it's a case of, right, he's wanting to sign him, we're trying to sign him, blah blah blah. But we'll just do this wee kind of weird deal now, and then once we'll see where it is at a year's time, and then we'll see if we owe you any money or if whether he can get out his contract. And do you get what I mean? I think that's the kind that's basically what it is. They've just kind of kicked it into the long grass for a year to see if there's any change in the conflict and regulations covering it and stuff. That's the kind of take I've got it, but
good to know.
Not just a young 24-year-old pretty face.
No, you're not, man. You're not.
You're none of those things. You're not even a young 42-year-old. Will you go way out of it?
That's it for tonight, folks. Thanks to you guys for joining us in the live chat. Thanks to Terence, as always, for coming on with us. Terence, before you go off, does anything you want to add on?
No, just obviously roll on Tuesday, hopefully for another good result. And thanks as always for asking me on, lads.
Mark, we close the show.
Right, thanks very much, Paul. Thanks again for coming on, Terence. Everybody that joined your live chat, all the new guys that we saw as well, some new guys the other night that are returning. Thanks very much for coming in again. As I said, we're up at 600 subs, so we're actually absolutely delighted with that. Hope you've had a crank weekend. Roll on Tuesday. Hail, hail, good night and God bless.